03, 2012, position control budget, third reading, plus compensation policy. And we're going to need to amend it. Mr. Trustee, you want?
The copy of the ordinance that you have in your packet has some additional suggested wording, and there's some additional suggested wording in the Exhibit D, the compensation policy that the city attorney and I have gone over. If you look at the fourth whereas, that is new, whereas Section 12.06 of the Charter states the salaries of all employees of the city shall be fixed by ordinance under a pay plan applying uniformly to all employees having similar responsibilities and doing like work. And the fiscal year 2012 compensation policy is designed as such a plan. Then go down 4 more whereases. Whereas this policy generally includes a 1% increase for department directors and their first-tier subordinates, and a 2% increase for all other eligible employees effective July 1, 2011. That has changed wording in it. If you go to the bottom of that page, be it further ordained that the fiscal year 2012 compensation policy, which includes the newly established special salary schedules for post-certified employees in the police department and for shift firefighting employees in the fire department, which is attached here to and incorporated herein as Exhibit B, is hereby adopted, and that all salaries and or hourly rates shall be in accordance with such policy. This policy replaces what was formerly known as the general pay policies and guidelines. That is significant change wording there. And then if you look at the next to the last ordained item, be it further ordained that any previously adopted ordinances which are in conflict with this ordinance or its exhibits are amended to the extent of any conflict. That is new wording. If you look at Exhibit B, as in boy, under Section 1 on page 1, the general pay policy, the first paragraph is reworded almost in its entirety. The second paragraph has slight rewording, and the third paragraph is a new paragraph reflecting compliance with the Fair Labor Standards Act. I'll give you all a second to look at that.
Go back and restate that, please, sir.
Okay, the first paragraph is reworded. It doesn't substantially...
You're talking in Exhibit B, correct?
In Exhibit B, yes. The second paragraph has minutely different wording, and then the third paragraph is brand new in that Section 1.
Only in Milligan. Well, this is my commentary looking through it.
This was all done in concert with the city attorney trying to clarify and make sure there were no questions in any of our wording.
So the city attorney advised this, okay?
That don't mean jack.
It's not something me and you cooked up at the last minute.
No, sir.
Whatever.
And part of this was what we voted on as amended last time, didn't it?
These changes in the attachment, these were all came as a result of a conversation with the city attorney, what, last week? Yeah, or the week, yeah. Then on page 2, middle of the page, item 2, temporary promotion, there is slight wording in there that clarifies exactly, the gist is the same as what it used to be, it's just clarifying wording in there. On page 3, under item 4, involuntary demotion, those two paragraphs were reworded entirely. They were confusing before, and so the wording gives the same intent as what was in the original wording, but it just reworded it to be more clear as to specifically what is happening. Then on the bottom of that page, item C, 1 through 6, which goes through the middle of the next page, is all new, and it spells out how what is the 1% and the 2% and the definition of eligible for increases, etc. And I will add, this came about as a result of a question that Mr. Carruthers asked right after our last meeting, I believe it was, or maybe even been at our last meeting. And so, in talking with the city attorney and with our personnel director, we came up with this wording to narrate all of that information that was not narrated at all anywhere in the past. It was just kind of assumed rather than spelled out. And that is the end of the changes.
So Peters, we're going to have to vote on the amendment first. Okay.
So moved on the amendment.
A motion on the amendment?
Second.
Motion and second. Is there any other discussion for either Mr. Trustee or Mr. Peters, either one? If not, roll call on the amendment.
Mr. Barger? Aye. Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Carruthers?
Aye.
Mr. Ford?
Aye.
Mr. Lowry?
Aye.
Mr. Morgan?
Aye.